Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Pretty legendary day yesterday, especially if you follow the early wedge. We hit that Pearson Cootie first round leader. We also hit our matchup, and we hit pretty much everything else as well. We go 5-1. Mike McClure, Mikey B hit theirs. We do lose the Tom Casale moneyline parlay. That one ends up losing, but the two SportsLine picks, they hit as well. We go 5-1. That is a very, very good day. We got a lot of people in the chat. Steve Volkerts, Chris Kish, Ryan Fingers, Jen is in the chat. Big Cheesy. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because it's BPE Friday. Let's go. We got Will Brinson. We got Danny Brasco. We got Chip Patterson. And we got buckets kind of via satellite, via video with a soccer pick as well. Brasco, it's great to see you. Brinson, it's great to see you. We got a lot of picks. UFC, NFL, PGA, SportsLine picks, and a Chip Patterson picks, and a Chip Patterson chip me up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Teddy. Good morning, Preston. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Here to bring that heat to everybody because it's cold out here in these streets. We want to make sure everybody stays safe. We want to make sure everybody keeps the lights on. We want to make sure that you got the lights on to celebrate those winners. Fired up here on a BPE Friday. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Will Brinson, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. I'm preparing to, do what I do on a Friday, which is, evacuate my house to go to my parents' farm and ensure that I have heat and power for the weekend. I'm getting out of Raleigh, Chip. Sorry, buddy. Enjoy. We're supposed to get somewhere between 0.25 and 1 inch of freezing rain, which means very bad things for power lines that are exterior, or that are not underneath the ground in North Carolina, and very bad things for the tall pines. Raleigh, North Carolina.
I would guess that your pops has a pretty good generator system out there on the farm, right? Yeah.
They're like deep, like if the power goes out, it's happened before to them. They've called the power people and they're like, look, dude, like you're the last people that are going to get power. So then my dad was like, all right, we're getting a generator. So yeah, we're going to go.
The Triad is actually a little bit more in the ice danger zone, but you have the generator backup. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm banking on no school next week for the kids. So
yeah.
Brasco, how are you preparing for in the chat? Brasco, before you answer, let us know where you are, like what city and state you're in, and what you're expecting snow or ice wise, because I feel like it's just all over the place. Like this could be massive. It could be less than massive.
200 million people impacted by Winter Storm Fern. It's insane.
Right. But we don't really know how much it's going to impact, right? Because I feel like it's just going to slowly change over the day. It might get worse. It might get better. I'm not really sure. I want to know where you're at and how you're preparing. Danny Brasco, are you preparing for anything?
Not really. I'm in New York City. I know the East Coast is going to get hit by it. And I'm actually going into the studio in Stamford to talk UFC 324 tomorrow. The conditions are supposed to hit at like 3 a.m. I usually get up out of there at like 2:30 a.m. So I'm just hoping that my Uber on the way home late night isn't, hitting the slick ice roads. But my buddy in Michigan messaged me. He said that trees are expected to explode because of the cold. I cannot explain the science. I cannot explain the physics, but trees will explode. So God bless.
Yeah. We got a guy from Arlington, which is right near me, Brad McDonald, saying 6 to 12 inches. Mike McClure says 1 foot of snow, wind chill, -20, -9 wind chill this morning. Low key loving it, says Mike McClure. I mean, listen, I laugh, but I'm hoping this isn't as big of a deal as it sounds. I'm supposed to go to Fort Lauderdale for, headquarters stuff on Tuesday, and I don't know if I'm going to make that flight, frankly, out of Washington, D.C. So I'm making
I'm not making that flight.
That's what we say. Listen, here's the thing. We all say that a few days ahead of time. Sometimes it's not quite as, I think everybody should prepare for it because it is going to be cold and all of that, but sometimes it's not quite as bad as we think. And I'm hoping that is the case. And I really want to be in sunny Fort Lauderdale and not here from Tuesday to Saturday. Go ahead, Chip. You were going to pipe in.
Oh, no. I mean, we don't need to expound on that. I let's just say I hope so too.
Yeah.
Well,
I also hope that it is not
as catastrophic.
The biggest winter storm in 40 years, which is what literally everyone is saying. The people with all the science are saying it's going to be. I hope they're wrong. We'll see.
It'll be that or yellow journalism and just the hype cycle. And hopefully it's just like barely anything.
Hey, you know what,
Right.
Danny? I'd love it. I'd love it. Yeah, that'd be fantastic here.
All right, let's get to some picks. I'm actually going to start things off because we've got golf starting in a couple hours. No snow at the American Express. Again, we had a good day yesterday with our matchup in our first round leader. We almost hit 2 first round leaders. I don't know if you recall, and this plays into my pick a little bit. Max Homa was on a par 5, and he was 2 back of Jason Day for a second first-round leader on the other course that they were playing on, not a non-Pearson Cootie course. So we almost cashed 2 out of 3 because all he would have had to do was birdie that hole and then birdie one of his and it was a par 5, and birdie one of his last 2 holes. He ended up somehow getting in the bunker out of the fairway and making bogey on that par 5, unfortunately. So we didn't hit 2 out of 3. But I did like Max Homa going into this tournament. If you watch the early wedge, he was, if you listened to me, you probably thought, okay, this is definitely Sia's favorite play. I had Max Homa in the without market, and I just love how Max Homa came on late in the season last year. The reason I didn't have him as a matchup against Brian Harman yesterday is because he didn't play at the Sony, and I was just a little worried, like maybe he needs a warm-up round or maybe even a warm-up tournament. Well, it doesn't appear like that was the case. Brian Harman was very underwhelming yesterday, and frankly, Max Homa was very, very good. And I watched a lot of their round, and the long and short of it is I don't think he should just be a -115 favorite over Brian Harman. So I'm taking Max Homa there. Love the approach play late last year. Loved it yesterday as well. The next one is going to be a little off the radar. Austin Smotherman is even money against Neil Shipley. And when I was doing my pre-tournament research, Austin Smotherman did jump out a little bit to me, not because his metrics were so good, but his ability to pop, particularly on easy courses, his ability to like stack up strokes gain metrics, stack up shots round around versus others. It does actually jump out at me. Both he and Neil Shipley missed the cut last week, but Neil Shipley missed it pretty famously. It was terrible. And Austin Smotherman's ball striking was actually in the positive last week. Yesterday, he was very good as well. I think this should be flipped. I don't think Austin Smotherman should be even money against Neil Shipley. This line over at DK, I think he should be a favorite here. -115, -120, maybe even -125. So give me Smotherman even money against Neil Shipley, who just hasn't been good at all lately. Those are my 2 round 2 matchups. And by the way, if you want to sprinkle a little bit on Max Homa to be the end of round 2 leader on the course that he's playing on, which I'm just double checking right now is over at La Quinta. That's 10-1. Little sprinkle play on him to be the round 2 leader, end of round 2 leader at 10-1. I don't hate that play. Links Patterson, I know you're probably not tracking this tournament. How do you feel about those plays?
Too chaotic. The 3 different courses, yeah. And it's a lot to grab a hold of. I did see a video clip of our guy throwing in a little fresh pouch right before 18. So the fact that he messed up 18, we've all been there, right? That it hits you right in the middle. Yeah. You throw it in, it hits you. You lose a little bit of balance for a second. Just pouch timing awareness, always something to keep in mind out there on the golf course.
All right.
I was going to say it's crazy to look at the odds for this tournament too. And it's a 3-day cut tournament at the Amex. You have to play La Quinta, the North Course, or whatever the North Course is, and then the Stadium Course.
Yeah.
And then, but the guys who played the Stadium Course yesterday and went low, the odds are hilarious compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
Like JT Poston is 4 back of the lead. Scotty Scheffler's 3 ahead of him and 1 back of the lead, and he's like down to 33-1. If you played the Stadium Course on Thursday, your odds are significantly shrunk because it's a much harder course.
Right.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, I will say that in the big picture, as the way that I'm tracking the golfers that you're buying stocks in, I am with you on the potentially we still have buy low opportunity with Max Homa.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can confirm that Sia in our fantasy league played Max Homa. I just double checked. Played Max Homa this week. Yeah.
We have a DFS league together with a bunch of others as well. Brasco, go ahead.
There is a UFC fighter named Cameron Smotherman fighting this weekend. Perhaps a little Austin Smotherman round 2 matchup and Cameron Smotherman parlay. I don't know. The Smotherman vibes, never heard of it, but it could work.
Wow.
I like it.
They're definitely not related. I'm just going to venture a guess there.
Chance.
All right. So you got UFC, Danny, and I know, Chip, you have college basketball. Mm-hmm. But Will, I'd like you to step in here because you've got a handful of NFL plays. I think a 4-pack, 2 against the spread, two NFL player props, and I should tell everybody, we had that Saturday show last week at 10 o'clock. We're doing that again for the conference championship games at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. I believe it's at 10 o'clock. Ben can correct me if I'm wrong. Special show, 10 o'clock Sunday morning on the SportsLine YouTube channel for the conference championships. Will, hit us with a 4-pack of bets here.
All right, so we're going to start with the Denver Broncos and Jarrett Stidham. Stiddy is stepping in for Bo Nix. This line is actually down a full point from yesterday, or at least on Wednesday when it was 5.5, with good reason, because home underdogs of 4 points or more are like, I think it's either 9-0 or 10-0, or they're trying to get to 11-0 here, I think, against the spread in these playoff games over the last decade plus. I mean, this is a good spot to take the Broncos. The Patriots are the better team with the better quarterback, but Drake May has fumbled 6 times in his last 2 games. In these 2 playoff games against the Chargers and the Texans, 6 fumbles. The Patriots have recovered 3 of those, so they've been a little bit lucky. Denver has, if not, they definitely have a top 5 defense, probably a top 3 defense, along with Houston and Seattle. They're at home. It's at altitude. It's a conference championship game. And you have in Sean Payton, head coach who knows what it's like to win these games with backup quarterbacks. Bill Parcells, there's a famous quote about that Sean Payton echoed that I can't say on a family program. But, this is going to be an offense with Jarrett Stidham that I think uses his legs a little bit in some design runs, has him throw horizontally, runs the ball a bunch, and tries to win with defense. And I think this is, the total is like 41.5, maybe 42. This is going to be a low-scoring game. The Patriots have not been hyper-aggressive offensively. They're plenty content to run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson, take a couple of shots down the field. If they don't hit, it doesn't work out, that's fine. They're willing to keep it a low-scoring, tight game. That's how Mike Vrabel plays, and I think that really leans into taking the Broncos plus 4.5. We also like the Rams plus 3.5, or plus 3, excuse me. It's 2.5. It's not going to move to 3, so you have to buy it to 3 at minus 125. But I like that because both these previous 2 matchups between the Seahawks and the Rams, 2-point games or less. And, look, the Seahawks have been incredible over the last month, shutting down everyone except the Rams. The Rams can score on the Seahawks. Sean McVay knows how to score on a Mike McDonald defense. Charles Cross, the left tackle for Seattle, banged up, questionable for this game. Sam Darnold, still dealing with an oblique injury. Maybe he was fine against San Francisco. How the hell would we know? He threw 17 passes in that blowout game. If he's forced to throw the ball a bunch here, I think you could see a situation where maybe he leaves and Drew Lock comes in, and all of a sudden you have a guy who's really turnover prone against a Rams defense that can get pressure. If Darnold plays the whole game, that's fine too. The Rams have had his number, 4 interceptions earlier in the season. And then, of course, they destroyed him in the playoff game when he was with Minnesota last year. So I like the Rams catching 3 here. Should be a close game. Should be a great game. Player props. Yes.
Will, before you get into player props, let me jump in here because I want to, Brasco, I kind of want to get your take here too. I love buying this up to plus 3. I still like the plus 2.5, even though that's under the key number. I think we're looking at a Seattle team who just got to play one of the worst defenses twice in a row, looking like world beaters. And I just don't think, I think it's great defense. I think the Rams are the better team, even away from home. Brasco, any thoughts on this one?
I ultimately agree with that sentiment. I think they're secondary. If they can shape up, Cameron Curl made a huge play to end the game. That's the key there. If the Rams secondary can play well, this plus 3 number is going to look really good. I agree with the overvaluation after a beatdown on San Fran. That's usually how you want to play it, right? One team just gets all the perception in the market. You go the other way. So I like your idea there.
Yeah, I like the Rams a lot. Go ahead, Will.
I mean, look, you can't make you can't make the Seahawks more than a 3-point favorite, and I don't think you can make the Seahawks less than like a 2-point favorite because it's in Seattle. It's just, the line is just what it is. Yeah. And it's going to come down to a couple of plays. And I just trust Matthew Stafford, even with that finger banged up. The weather will be fine here. Not going to have to deal with that. I just trust Matthew Stafford a little bit more than I trust Sam Darnold, who will have to throw more than he did against San Francisco.
Those lazy odds makers just got to sit back and look at 2 close games between division rivals and be like, home field. Sure.
Yeah.
let the market figure it out.
And that's after they trapped all of us, me at least, with the San Fran plus 7.5 line. Like, Darnold, oblique injury. Here's 7 and the hook. Here you go, experts. And look how that went. So they're on their game right now.
Well, I think the week the week one, the week one, the first matchup between these teams in week 11.
Was that the overtime game?
No,
the Rams were favored. No, that was a later one. But in Los Angeles, the Rams were favored by 2.5 points in that game, and Seattle threw the late touchdown to lose by 2. And
They've all been one score. They've both been one score games, right?
They both
2
been,
points
yeah,
and
yeah,
1
yeah.
point.
2 points and 1
21-19.
point, yeah.
37.
Yeah, like-
However, the Rams were winning both of those games pretty comfortably.
Yes.
And it took a Seattle late comeback for that to look a little bit more close than it actually was.
Like a wild comeback on that Thursday night game in week 16, and then week 11 they had a shot to win late, but they missed a field goal. But like this game is going to be close. It's just going to be close. I want the points in a close game like this.
Totally fair. I love getting to that 3 number. All right, let's talk about some player props.
So I like, and I know Sia, you have or maybe somebody has I saw it on the rundown. Somebody has a player prop on a Patriots running back. I'm on the other Patriots running back, but I like both of them. Travion Henderson over 8.5 carries, little juice minus 125. I was going to put Ramondre's over carries in. I went to the DK and was like looking at the odds, and then I saw Travion Henderson at 8.5. I was like, whoa, that's too low. He hasn't been nearly as efficient as Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre's been way better in the postseason in terms of picking up yardage with his legs. But Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel are not going to go away from Travion Henderson. They gave him 12 carries last week. He had 9 carries against the Chargers the week before. He's so explosive, particularly in this game. Even if he's getting 2.1 yards per carry, they're going to get those carries up there, because if he breaks one, I know it's like every touchdown's worth 6 points, but in this game with this total and these defenses, an explosive like 60-yard touchdown run feels like it's worth like 8 or 10 points, because that's how valuable points will be against a backup quarterback like Jared Stidham. So I think they're just going to give him 10 plus carries and see if he can pop one. On the other side, we're buying low here. Rashid Shaheed, longest reception over 14.5 yards. Are you kidding me? Look, he hasn't, I think he's got 2 receptions or something in his last 4 games. The Seahawks have dialed back his usage. He's been more explosive rushing the ball than he has been receiving the ball. But as Danny pointed out, this Rams secondary a little bit suspect. And this is a kitchen sink game. Both of these games are kitchen sink games. You're trying to go to the freaking Super Bowl. Clint Kubiak's going to dial up a play or 2 for Rashid Shaheed down the field against the secondary. If you hit one, it's going to be 20-plus yards. This 14.5 number is disrespectful to the player and the explosive abilities. I will take the over here.
All right. We got a lot of NFL picks there. We still got to get to college basketball from Chip Patterson. We got to get to UFC. We got to get to a lot of your questions too. And don't forget, Buckets has a soccer pick as well. Also, don't forget our Sunday show at 10 o'clock. And for those championship games, we've got a BetMGM boost. BetMGM account holders will get an odds boost for the championship games this Sunday. BetMGM players will receive a pro football playoff odds boost for Sunday's game. If you win, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars, courtesy of BetMGM. A lot of picks in the chat. We'll get to a lot of your picks and questions right after this message from our partners.
Critics agree Landman is a hit.
We roll the dice one last time.
Men die. Oil companies don't.
We're back on the early edge. And reminder, get your NFL picks in for the Splash Sports contest. Even if you think you're falling out of, first place or top 10 or whatever, make sure you get your picks in and see where you end up standing at the end of the playoffs. Again, that's the Splash Sports NFL contest. Of course, we have the one and done Splash Sports contest. That's at splashsports.com/wedge. That doesn't start until the Phoenix Open. So you have time to get in there, but get in there now. Chip Patterson, get in here right now. We got to get a college basketball pick.
Hold on. Was that classism to call it the Phoenix Open? I've seen a lot like within the golf discourse, like what do you call it, right? There's a little. Have you seen any of this?
I haven't, but it's interesting you say that. It might be subconscious. I normally type it out as WM Phoenix Open, but that doesn't ring when I'm talking. Right. It doesn't sound good to put the WM in, so I just say Phoenix Open, I guess.
Do you call it the Farmers or? Do you call it, what was he? Farmers is at Torrey, right? Or
Farmers Insurance Open. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I call it the Farmers, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you call it the Waste Management? Do you call it the Phoenix Open? Do you call it
Waste.
Do you call it the
Waste.
Genesis or do you call it Riviera?
Genesis.
Riv. Just say
Yeah.
Riv.
Oh, see? Interesting.
Interesting.
All right, enough of that. We got time to get into golf. We don't have all year long to get into college basketball because we've got a pretty fun matchup with one of the best teams in the country playing host in a rivalry game. The Michigan Wolverines welcome in the Ohio State Buckeyes in a battle that on paper should be really exciting from this particular angle. Ohio State with Bruce Thornton and John Mobley, they lead one of the best 2-point offenses in the entire country. The only problem is that in Michigan, we have one of the best 2-point defenses in the entire country. Dusty May has done a terrific job in building a group that is able to defend the rim, and I think that is a bad matchup for the Buckeyes because when they've got Lindenberg and Morez Johnson and Mara all in there, that is 6'9", 6'9", 7'3", and any of Ohio State's efforts to get to the rim and get to the free throw line, things that the Buckeyes do a good job of, even the pull-up twos are going to be contested in a way that they are not used to. I think that it's going to be a big struggle. Now, if you haven't gotten a chance to check out the lines overall for this game, here's why I'm going to get specific. It's Michigan by about 15.5 or 16. I expect that should be Michigan maybe cover, but something that you're going to have to rely on the bench players, the motivations, what happens later in the game. I think that when I've got a matchup-specific edge, I want to be able to minimize the variables. And minimizing the variables means that Michigan defense sets the tone early. They do it by denying all of the easy shots that Ohio State wants. They've got enough good wing defenders to be able to chase Mobley around the three-point line, which is going to be sort of the Buckeyes' best option to try and shoot over this team. And frankly, even though Mobley shoots about like 41% from three, I don't think as a team they are a good enough three-point shooting team to be able to shoot over that just tall brick wall that they've got around the rim. So best bet for this one for me is going to be the Ohio State first half team total under 34.5. And how good do I feel about this? Well, you can get a 35.5 for minus 125 out there. But I ain't paying extra when I think that the Buckeyes are going to be coming in much closer to 30 after 20 minutes. So I'll go Ohio State first half team total under in a battle between the best one of the best 2-point offenses against the best 2-point defense, where I give the main edge to the Wolverines and their size inside.
All right. Great breakdown there. And Danny, you're known for great breakdowns. You've got a few UFC picks, but I do want to ask you a chat question first. Ray Garcia wants to know O'Malley money line plus Pimblett money line parlay.
Oh, yeah. I like it, man. A lot of the time you look at these big pay-per-view events and you don't want to just start laying the favorites on the main card because it can get a little dicey there. There's a lot of competitive fights, but these are two fighters that I think are going to show out in massive spots. O'Malley's looking to march his way back to the bantamweight title picture, and I think he's the way more sophisticated striker against Song Yadong. I see him styling on him. I gave that out earlier in the week by decision at plus 130. That's down to plus 110. And Paddy the Baddy, that was my first pick of the week, man. I have him by submission. The difference on the ground is just too big, and I think Gaethje will end up there, and Paddy will pull off some slick submission. So Paddy sub plus 160, O'Malley decision plus 130. You can play those methods individually, but parlay them too, and you should get some good value too, Ray.
Yeah, we've got on our recap screen that's coming up in a few minutes, we've got some of our picks from earlier in the week that you can check out. I think, Danny, some of your earlier picks are on there as well. Before you give out your 3-pack, Danny, I want to just respond to Dom asks Oberg versus English round 2. I can't really answer that because you haven't put what the price is, and I hadn't looked at that specific one. I assume Oberg is a decent size favorite, even though Harris English is a really good golfer. So
you won last year, right?
Matchup. I need to know what the price is. Go ahead, Chip.
Didn't he win last year, this tournament?
No, Straka won the tournament.
Harris won the Farmers.
There we go.
Oh,
also, speaking of how you call different things, this kind of like, I'm never calling Mile High Stadium Empower Field. I'm never calling Twitter X. You know what I mean? Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, the sponsors in golf, ultimately take precedence for like obvious reasons. So that's why usually I think you're saying the sponsor relative to the.
The weirdest one is though, is that like what is it? A Creasier Stadium in Pittsburgh with the Steelers?
Acrisure.
It's like nobody wants to call it that. It's like, that's disgusting. How could you? It's Heinz Field, which is like, oh, but Heinz Field is also a sponsor. Like it's
You know why?
It's just a ketchup brand that sponsored it like 100 years ago.
You know why? I think of Heinz Ward when I think of Heinz Field, and that is
fair.
vibes.
Oh, I call it the big mustard bottle. You know.
Ironically, because of ketchup, you know.
That's good stuff. All right, let's go to let's get back to UFC. You answered the Ray Garcia question, but people want to know, and we'll get to Bucket's video, by the way, so stay tuned. We got a soccer pick coming up. We want to know what you got left on the UFC card, Danny.
Yeah, man. We have some more picks to cover, and I have I have an underdog that I want to take a shot on. I gave a lot of favorites on the main card, and I gave out their method of victories to beat some juice, but we got to take an underdog shot. And really, this is a bet that my guy Nikita Krylov still has his chin because he's been knocked out in 2 straight fights. The chin could be gone. We're taking a risk on his durability, but he has the way more high-level experience than his opponent, Modestas Bukauskas. And at plus 125, I think you're starting to see some money come in on him. He opened as a larger underdog. He has more MMA tools in this matchup. Now, like I said, he took that 2-year layoff and then got knocked out a couple times, but he looks to be really focused in training camp now. I heard a lot of interviews with him saying he seems to be taking this fight really seriously. It's not just another paycheck towards the end of his career. And his opponent, Modestas Bukauskas, certainly an explosive kickboxer. But, you know, I'm looking at his competition. When he came into the UFC, he went an ugly 1-3. He took a bad knee injury, and then he took some time off. Since coming back to the promotion, he's 6-1. So you got to give the guy a ton of credit. But who's he fought? Tyson Pedro, Zach Pauga. He got knocked out by a Vitor Petrino check hook. You know, the Marcin Prokhnov. These names are not on Nikita Krylov's level, who's fought Volkan Ozdemir, who's fought former champion Magomed Ankalaev, who went to a split decision with Glover Teixeira. If the old Krylov is there, he can win this fight. And the real concern is that he invites chaotic exchanges. He mixes in his striking and his grappling in this way that, you know, can get him counterpunched. But I think he can overwhelm Bukauskas here. So I like Krylov to show that he's still got something here. He's a guy that lands 4+ strikes a minute and lands over 2 takedowns in a fight as well. So just more tools in the belt. Bukauskas may get overwhelmed. If he gets knocked out, Gippers will hit his Bukauskas KO pick, and we'll all win. So good for that. And I actually don't have a 3-pack. See, I brought Alexander Hernandez on the money line earlier in the week, and I already got that out. Thought I gave that only on HQ, but I gave it on the early edge here too. He's at minus 135 now, so grab it there. I disagree with the way the market's moving. But my second pick will be my biggest plus money shot of UFC 324. Give me Umar Nurmagomedov by knockout at plus 800. If he had never done this before, I would understand the price tag. Fair enough, right? A prop that's never come through. He slept Raoni Barcelos cold, a solid veteran. And the way he did it made me believe that he can continue to let his hands go and potentially knock some people out, because he threw a knee that missed, and Barcelos, while defending the knee, put his hands down, and Nurmagomedov just came through with the left hook, right hand to follow. Left hook touched his chin and put him down. It was really impressive. And he's fighting Davison Figueiredo here, who's the former flyweight champion, now at bantamweight, still going at 38 years old, just picked up a big upset win, but it looks like he's slowing down. The win that he got over Montel Jackson, I kind of fault Jackson more for losing that one than Figueiredo. Figueiredo just played crafty, stayed on the outside, stuck and moved, mixed it up, and Jackson was frozen for a lot of the fight. That will not be Umar Nurmagomedov, who has a serious speed advantage here. His in and out movement with his kickboxing is explosive, and I think he could land a straight punch or another one of those left hooks to compromise Figueiredo. Figgy's only been knocked out twice, and they weren't clean KOs. One was an injury in that Corey Sandhagen kind of 50-50 leg lock position where his knee popped, and another was a doctor stoppage where he got put away by Brandon Moreno. So, yes, he's never been slept cold, but I think Umar can hurt him here. He's a guy that's 38 years old, and I'm just not sure how much longer he could fight at this elite level of bantamweight. Umar's minus 1,600. He's the biggest favorite on the card, and he's trying to get back to that bantamweight title fight where he narrowly lost to Merab Dvalishvili because he had a broken right hand and lost 48-47. He's very close. He needs a big performance. I think he can get a highlight knockout win to put himself in that picture.
All right. I think you are going to be doing the recap screen for your picks, Danny Brasco. Chip Patterson, have you by any chance looked at the Furman game? There was a question, Furman, UNC Greensboro. It's 3.5 point spread, apparently, according to Steve Folkerts. Did you look at that one at all?
So Furman has blown leads in each of its. They've lost 2 in a row, and they've blown leads in both of them. It's their second road game in 2. Like, they played Wednesday and they're playing Friday. generally, especially with the college basketball team, and you just consider the humans that are involved there, that's funky. You know, like it's just, if you're having trouble finishing, then I especially at 3 and a hook, I don't want to get there. UNCG's defense is cheeks. So certainly you should have a little bit of an advantage there. And Furman's got some chuckers. Like they hoist a ton of threes, but it is a stay away for me, Steve, just because, again, they held leads for most of the game in each of their last 2 games and lost them both, one of them in overtime, the other one by a close margin. So, yeah, I think for Furman, it was like there was a big overcorrection on Furman because they had a good start to the season and water's found its level. I need to take a step back and get more data before I feel confident lining up behind him.
Will, there's something from Jacob Couture here that I think is interesting. It's on.
Please don't be about Furman.
No, yeah, it's Furman's team total. No, Jacob Couture says these are alt totals. Patriots under 48.5, which I quite like. Again, it's an alt under, and Rams under 54.5, and that pays -115. Do you have any takes there?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I think the Patriots under part of it looks really good, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I would be pretty shocked. I don't think the Patriots are going to open up their offense, and like Sean Payton is not going to unleash Jarrett Stidham on a really good Patriots defense. The Rams part of it, is the one that would maybe give me a little pause just because of the score of the last game. But that Thursday night game was so fluky and weird and involved just like a lot of things happening for Seattle to be able to get back in it and take it to overtime and score as many points as they did. And you're looking at a rubber match between divisional rivals. You know, Sean McVay has been a little bit more aggressive this year, particularly on his opponent's side of the field and going forward on 4th down, actually a lot more aggressive than he usually is. But I do think that you could see Seattle with a banged up Darnold try to run the ball a lot with Kenneth Walker, lean on their defense, and then maybe something like, I don't think the Rams are going to run tempo here. So I like this. I think it's a really good look. I just think, there is a chance where, Seattle and LA just turns in, you get some explosive plays in that game and it kind of flips it on its head. But I think that, I think it's a pretty good look. Yeah.
All right. I got to apologize to everybody. I should have gotten buckets in here a lot earlier, the video, but I wanted to get my golf plays out, and then that just went into football and all that. So if you're waiting for Buckets golf pick, Ben, I think now is probably a pretty good time.
Is golf pick? Buckets is on.
Knowing honestly,
Buckets is a 3-ball matchup.
Knowing Buckets, it could very well. I'm bracing myself. It could be a football pick for all I know, because he seems to do really well there. All right, let's Ben, let's cue it up. I'm bracing myself, but we got a Buckets pick on hold here.
Guten Morgen, my friends. I'm here with, come here, buddy. A random giant dog I found while wandering. I don't know where I am. I'm actually very lost. Odds of Buckets to make it back from Germany. Plus 1,500, minus 1,500, who knows? But big dog. Hamburg Derby this afternoon, this evening, whatever time it is for you guys. I don't know. I've completely forgotten who or where I am now. St. Pauli drawn a bet at minus 110. The Hamburg Derby is all about the home team advantage. This is going to be wild. It is going to be cagey. It is going to be red cards everywhere. But look for a 1-1 or 2-1 for St. Pauli here. I like both teams to score, but I love that draw no bet as well.
Wow. Chip, do you have you're the soccer pro among us four. Do you have any response to that? Among us four.
Yeah, among us four, and very specifically only with like Fiorentina and Fiorentina adjacent conversations. So anytime that you've got a rivalry, and especially if it's in one of these leagues I don't know, and someone who does know says that these teams hate each other and there's going to be a bunch of red cards, I'm all the way in. Just from the entertainment standpoint, like those kind of matches are fantastic.
This sounds like as close as a fight you can get in soccer. Can I bet over red cards? Because cagey, like I want to watch a fight on the pitch.
Chip, Andrew Stanek actually has a question about Fiorentina.
I know.
Well, he doesn't have a question. He has a statement. He said, I'm sorry to say I'm taking Cagliari. Is that how you pronounce it? Over Fiorentina.
Yeah.
Draw no bet at plus 300 this weekend. Chip, your response.
Oh, disrespectful. I mean, disrespectful to the turnaround that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. A Fiorentina side that's finally got some wind behind its back, starting to get some results out there. I mean, when you were 20th, dead set for relegation, and you're starting to climb your way out, baby, stock price is going up. Andrews, now's not the time not to get on side of this freight train. This Fiorentina side's going to finish 14th, baby. I'm telling you. This is what we're going to do. 14th place or bust. Let's go.
Chip absolutely flexing some it's like when you do activity that you're not used to doing and like you feel sore and weird muscles. That's like Chip is like flexing those weird muscles right now. He's like, Furman? Oh, you need a Furman take? Sure, I got a Furman take. Oh, what's that? Florientina? Oh, you need a Florientina take? Sure, let's go. Like, what else do you have?
I have been a Fiorentina fan for years. 6 years, but years. But so
that's a long time.
I can't really speak that.
Forza Viola.
Adam G says, are we sure Buckets isn't just wandering around Ohio in someone's backyard? No, we're actually not sure about that. Fred George says, I'm just amazed he actually made it to Europe. Okay, before we get out of here, go ahead, Brasco.
I am actually working on sponsoring Buckets to go skydiving in Switzerland. I told him that I sent him a video of it was the best experience I ever had in my life. I will never replicate that feeling. I sent him the video. I sent him some Munich recommendations. And I told him, honestly, man, I want you to live your best life. I will pay for this. So if he can get to Interlaken, Switzerland, you will see him jumping over the Swiss Alps. He's terrified. He said his biggest fear is heights. But if I sponsor him, he will do it. And I'm a man of my word. I hope we can make this happen. Stay tuned.
It's just the comments are just amazing. Will, before we get out of here, I know you had some anytime touchdown plays you were considering. I think it was 2 in particular. Can you offer those as well?
Yeah, I think you got to be careful, obviously, with the Patriots and the Broncos game because it's a low-scoring game. I think we see a lot of field goals in that one. But I do like, in a kitchen sink game, Sean Payton dialing up some plays. This is a man who once kicked an onside kick coming out of the into the second half of a Super Bowl. Right? In 2009, he onside kicked it. I mean, it's an all-time huevos play. He's going to dial up some stuff to make life easier for Jared Stidham because he knows if he scores early and forces Drake May to throw a bunch, the Broncos could absolutely win this game. Marvin Mims, 5-1 anytime touchdown score. I think there's a really good chance we could see maybe like a red zone / goal line rush attempt for Marvin Mims. Maybe a flea flicker early in the game back to Stidham who just bombs one deep to Mims. He's their gadget guy, and this is a gadget game. Everything's on the line. A shot to go to the Super Bowl. You're playing with your backup. By the way, if Sean Payton wins the Super Bowl with Jared Stidham, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame because he'd be a second one and backup quarterback. And then for the Rams and Seahawks, again, kitchen sink game, everybody's got to go full speed. You either got 2 weeks to rest or you got 6 months to rest. Devontae Adams, plus 120 to score anytime touchdown. Adams was minus 150 6 weeks ago every single week because he was on a touchdown bender. Hurts his hamstring. Puka got some of the red zone stuff. Kobe Parkinson gets involved. And now Adams has drifted into the plus money space. Only had 1 catch this year against the Seahawks in 2 games. He didn't play the second game. 1 catch this year against the Seahawks. And it was a touchdown for 1 yard or maybe 2 yards.
Danny, it looked like you had some response to something Will said.
No, I'm just looking through the chat furiously, trying to answer and log UFC questions. No response there. Oh, no, I did actually I took Marvin Mims. I gave out Marvin Mims' first TD 30-1 on a show that we had recently done. And there he is all over the field. I said to myself, you know what? He might actually score. Let me put $10 on the anytime at plus 750. He's in the end zone, baby. So I like the Mims look, man. He's a really, really important gadget player for them.
Yeah, speaking of, I'm not going to bet on it, but Evan Ingram, pitch pass near the goal line, that type of Travis Kelce type play, I think he's decent for an anytime touchdown, but those odds probably aren't good enough. Chip, before we get out of here, anything in the chat, anything you need to respond to?
I was looking up, Devontae Adams has never won a Super Bowl. So you were talking about the pour it out game. I mean, he's 33 years old. This is this put your career on the line. You're selling out to try and get it done with this team.
Ooh, I have a you want a hot take before we get out of here?
Yeah.
If Matthew Stafford wins MVP and wins the Super Bowl this year, he will be considered a top 5 quarterback of all time.
No.
I see this is where I think the conversation, because there is an easy 3 to 4, right? Yeah. But then the 5th spot is truly up for debate.
I think there's an easy 2. There's an easy 2 with Manning and Brady.
Right.
And then how else do you want to fill out the
you could say Rodgers, Montana.
You could say Rodgers, but if Stafford has 2 Super Bowls and an MVP, I don't know. like
Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. We're not going to do
Well,
the
no, but he doesn't have an MVP. And Matthew Stafford is like clearly like, I know what you're saying, but I mean, like Matthew Stafford's stats blow Eli's out of the water.
It's kind of like when people talk about a top 10 team in college football in one of those years where there's a top 7 and then anyone 8 through 19 could be interchanged for each other. I don't know exactly what the tiers look like for quarterbacks of all time, but a great take for debate for sure.
Yeah, it is.
It would put him firmly in the hot take debate with Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, who are right there in that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 range, depending on how old you are. And, if you're Pete Prisco and love Dan Marino more than, you're like.
Eric David says you can't spell elite without Eli. Well, you can try. I'll think of a synonym.
He's the GOAT. 0-2. Brady's 0-2.
He's the third best quarterback from his draft class.
Let's put your top 5 all-time quarterbacks in the YouTube comments. I think this is a subject we can pick up on maybe after this game and also after the Super Bowl. I actually think it's a great just a great topic in general because, Drew Brees is going to be a lot of people saying a lot of different things. Last one. Dylan Bearcat says, can someone tell me their thoughts on Grillo versus Hughes? Okay, first of all, you didn't put the price in there. Somebody asked me about a Siwoo Kim matchup, and I'm pretty sure that's like probably minus 200. I can't give you an answer without giving the price, but that's not a matchup I looked at really at all. I wouldn't have faith in either of those 2 guys. A couple of leans I had were Lipsky over Schmid at plus 115, Ryo Hisatsune over Rico Hoey, that's plus 130, Bridgman over Kirk, minus 115, and Carson Young over Svensson, minus 105. I didn't bet any of those. Those were just leans. The ones I actually bet were the ones I gave out on this show today. All right, let's get to the
Patrick Mahomes.
I see a Grillo over
Mahomes,
Grillo minus 120 over Mac Hughes minus 106.
Like, are you putting Stafford ahead of Mahomes?
Like for me, no, honestly.
No, probably not.
Even right now. And then, you got eras to dispute, right? Elway is coming up a lot in the chat. You got to talk about that, who dominated there.
I'm just telling you, it's a good. It's a
good debate.
As the preeminent Matthew Stafford historian of really the entire world, as the guy who first came out and said Matthew Stafford will be a Hall of Famer, and it got everybody hot and bothered, and then I turned out to be correct. I'm just telling you, this is my new take.
We forget the Megatron days too, racking up stats over there in Detroit.
Yeah,
he's goated like 3 or 4 receivers.
And don't forget about Trevor Lawrence as well. Let's get to the recap screen before we get out of here as a sneer dawns on Chip Patterson's face. Okay, so this is from earlier in the week. I had Ramondre Stevenson over 11.5 rush attempts at minus 138. Of course, that was Tuesday morning. I gave that out on SportsLine and this show. It's clicked up to 12.5. We're going to talk about that more, that 12.5 number more on the NFL Prop Show today at 3 o'clock. It'll be me, Uncle Dave, and Prop Stars on that one. A couple of round 2 matchups that have not gotten started yet. Max Homa minus 115 over Brian Harmon, and Austin Smotherman even money over Neil Shipley. We go to college basketball. Ohio State first half team total under 34.5, and then Brinson's got 4 picks. Broncos plus 4.5 minus 110. Rams plus 3. He bought the half a point minus 125. Rashid Shaheed, longest reception over 14.5 yards at minus 120. And Trevion Henderson over 8.5 carries at minus 125. Buckets, St. Pauli versus Amberg. St. Pauli draw no bet minus 110. Brasco, you've got the floor.
All right, Ben, I also thought I gave out Sean O'Malley by decision at plus 130, but honestly, I've given out so much, I've lost track. I'm too hyped for UFC. We got Patty Pimblett by submission at plus 160. Patty the Batty on the money line combined with Natalia Silva gets you minus 122. Cortez Acosta versus Lewis to go over 1.5 rounds at minus 134. Alexander Hernandez money line minus 135. Get it now. Price is coming down. Nikita Krylov plus 125 on the money line, and Umar Nurmagomedov by knockout at plus 800.
I'm so glad I didn't have to do that. We didn't have any sports line picks today, right? I mean, certainly we have a lot of picks, but we had picks from earlier in the week. Denver Broncos plus 5.5. That one was from Tom Casale. Ramondre Stevenson over 70.5 rushing and receiving, minus 118 from Meg Schaup. Kenneth Walker under 114.5 rushing and receiving yards, minus 115. That one's from Prop Stars. And Patriots money line plus Rams money line plus 222. That one from Eric Cohen, EC. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. That was a long show. Thank you to Buckets for getting that video in. Hopefully we see a lot more videos on this show and in general, probably on his Twitter feed as well. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. And ladies and gentlemen in the chat, thank you so much for being a part of this experience, listening to the show after, rating and reviewing the show, joining our contests. We really appreciate all the participation. Jen says it all. stay warm, stay safe, and cash some bets. We'll see you on the prop show at 3 o'clock. And don't forget our special show Sunday at 10 o'clock for the NFL Championship games. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we rest our case.